I
All
think we
right.
are live.
We are. We are live. All right. Three, two, three, two, one. Silent claps for a big
There it
win.
is.
Wow. 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 Welcome on in. It is another edition of Clap Your Hands, presented as always by Coors Lights. And I tell you what, the Coors Lights are just a little bit sweeter. Little bit sweeter.
They hit a
When
little harder.
hit a little harder when the dragon has been slain. We don't have to hear about heat culture. We don't have to hear about Jimmy Butler's a killer. They choked tonight. The Sixers were begging to give the ball game away. Eliot, Shorr-Parks, what's going on, pal?
Woo, man. You want to talk about how all Sixers games just feel the same, except for the final few minutes of that one. I mean, we were texting during the beginning of the game. I was texting with my friends. The feeling at that beginning of the game, which we'll get into much more detail about it and big picture, but there is no pain quite like watching the Sixers mope up and down the court in a big game and not having them have any life. And that's what it was to start this game. But for them to actually win it, it's one of the more surprising and uncharacteristic wins of the Sixers playoff tenure over like the process era. I mean, they've had big wins. They beat the Celtics in game one last time, but there's not
Like
been
game one of the
games.
season, or like the regular season this year. That's the game that you're talking about. The big
They did win that one too, right? But I'm talking about last year in the playoffs. Game 4 would probably qualify as a
game 5 was the one that I thought Embiid took the big growth last year.
Yes, and then he crashed back down to earth. But for them to come through and actually win this game is, I mean, it's shocking. Like, they look dead in the water. And what I'll say is, while I don't feel great coming out of it, a win is a win, man. And, you know, for as much as I know our job is to analyze sports and to, you know, do all that, and fans are going to do that. But ultimately, what do you watch a game for if not for games like tonight? It was a terrible start to it. They come back, they win. Clutch plays down the stretch by Embiid. For as bad as he was for the first 3.5 quarters, he hit a three-pointer. He had an and one. He had a pass that led to an and one. I mean, down the stretch, if you only turned that game on for the final 5 or 6 minutes, you would have thought this was exactly what you wanted from Embiid. Overall, not that great. But for him to come out of that funk he's in, that the face he does when he's in a bad mood to start a game, it is maybe my most painful Philly sports thing that I see. When you can just tell he is not checked in, he got out of it, and you could see it. And he makes the three. He does that Triple H gesture he loves. He makes the and one. He fist pumps. Like, you could see the frustration he felt. And so for him to make those big plays down the stretch, I thought there was an encouraging aspect to that. Outside of that, let's just be honest. They don't win this game if not for Nic Batum. I mean, he saved their season tonight.
He did. A couple things saved their season. One was obviously Nicholas Batum.
Yes.
Kelly Oubre is fearless. I'll say that. Like, he can play you out of games, and I've been over that. Losing player, yada yada yada. He is fearless, and in a game like that, you needed him to be fearless. And Kyle Lowry. I mean, Kyle Lowry. It's not like he had a huge contribution when it came to point totals, but like little things that mattered. It mattered having a guy like Kyle Lowry. Like, I thought there was 3 guys who were fearless, and it was Oubre, Batum, and Lowry. The 2 stars, I thought it looked a little not ready for the moment, which is disappointing. Tobias Harris, always perpetually not ready for the moment. Just wakes up. It does get the bright lights out of here. Nah,
turn them off. Turn them off. Turn them off. Yeah.
Turn them off. Don't want them. Don't need them. Don't, dude. That I have never seen.
It's so good.
A ball, an NBA player.
I know.
Almost break the backboard on a 3-point shot.
Dude,
like
in that sequence when he missed all the layups. Like,
it's atrocious, man.
But I will say, they benched him. Like, they did not, Nick Nurse did not play him down the stretch. Like, credit to Nick Nurse. We talked a lot on this pod, and we've talked about it on WIP too, about what they would do with Tobias. He did start tonight. We'll see if he starts the playoffs. I think he probably still will. But in the big moments, and maybe it's because Batum was playing so well, you couldn't possibly take him off the court. But in the big moments, Nick Nurse sat Tobias. And that's very noteworthy. He's not, I mean, Doc has not done that in past years. Brett never sat Tobias. So for Nick Nurse to do that is really noteworthy. But also, you piggyback off something you were saying. When you look at this game tonight, I don't think it's a coincidence that the players that showed up big were the new guys. There's this expression in sports, and I hear it a lot in soccer, like the weight of wearing the shirt. Like, when you play for a team, that really matters and that has a history, you feel that weight when you have it on. And we talked about this the past few weeks. Is it a clean slate for the Sixers? Are the Sixers entering this postseason with the baggage gone? We got our answer tonight. The baggage is very much there. You could see the weight of the shirt on Joel. You could see the weight of the past playoff failures on Maxey. You could see it on Tobias. You know, you didn't see it on Batum. You didn't see it on Oubre, and you didn't see it on Lowry. You didn't see it on Cam Payne, who came in and made a big shot. The guys who have not been a part.
The campaign moment, baby.
He did. Yeah, he came in and he made his one big shot. The guys that have not been a part of these playoff collapses played like they have not been part of the playoff collapses. If they have this team last year and they have more of the same guys that have been through it, they lose this game tonight. They don't rebound like they did. They don't have those players to pull them out of it. So I think if you want to look at why should this game be encouraging, it's because they have a lot of new guys, and you could see tonight the difference in having guys that don't carry the weight of the baggage.
Yeah, and I think I'm glad you brought that up, because I kind of feel two things heading out of that game. Like, on one hand, I'm furious at Joel. Like, it's just even going into halftime, having to hear Stephen A. and Bob Myers talk about how they heard before the game how hurt he was. And he didn't play on Sunday. He hasn't played since, Friday? So, like, it looked like the whole Joel Embiid grabbing the knee, kind of being mopey, not the best energy level. And Maxey just didn't look like he had it. Now, he's going against the Heat, so the Spoelstra obviously has something ready for him. But still, it was not the most inspiring performance. And on one hand, I could be like, well, they're not going to get 20 points from Nico Batum. I don't know why I said Nico Batum. I hate when they say Nico Batum.
He was Nico tonight, like Brett would say.
Yes,
Nick was
Brett Brown would
Nico
say.
Tonight. Yeah.
They're not going to get that performance again. But, again, how you just laid it out, are Embiid and Maxey going to be that tight again? I mean, maybe, just maybe. That was a monkey off the back kind of moment where it's okay, deep breaths. We got through the first one. We didn't totally crap all over ourselves, even though they really tried. Like, it was one of the more shocking wins of my life, Eliot. I mean, if you told me halfway through the second quarter that they were going to win that basketball game, I would have said you're crazy. So,
not just that, they made a run in the third, and the Heat went back on a run. Like, I was already texting with my friends if you would rather play the Hawks or the Bulls. Like, that's how over it felt to me.
You are not a foxhole, man.
I would be the worst foxhole guy. I would be in the foxhole being like, yo, we should really bounce. This is not going well. Like, we need to go.
Well, what cannot be not talked about enough is how Brickin' for Chicken might have saved the season.
In all seriousness, if
I'm not
Caleb
joking.
Burton makes that second free throw, the Sixers are probably preparing to play the Hawks or the Bulls on Friday.
Blouses, dude.
I know.
It's game over.
So I had this tweet ready. I was going to tweet in French the chicken nugget game. I decided not to, but I thought that would have been a pretty good tweet. Or maybe the title of the pod. You like that?
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So here's what I'll hear. To what you're saying,
the Wells Fargo Center was dead before Brickin' for Chicken. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And they missed both, and then bang, there's an energy
I think
level that was good.
It was worse than dead. And, I wasn't there tonight, but you could feel it coming off the TV. It looked like the most tense, ugly stadium to be a part of. I can't imagine being at that game for the first, it was probably really fun before the game started, and then it probably wasn't fun again until Joel made that three. And that's what I think the problem that they're going to run into is, and whenever things go poorly, I mean, you saw it tonight. The second things go poorly with this team, everyone brings up the playoff failures. They are not a fresh team. They don't have, the rope with fans where if they would have lost tonight, you could sit there and go, well, Maxey, had a great year, blah, blah, blah. You can feel the failures with each thing. And to what you were saying about how you feel after the game, there's definitely part of me that sits here and goes, Eliot, don't be such a hater. They won the game. It was a win against a team that we thought was going to be tough, a win against a team that wins those type of games. I don't think it can be overstated. Jimmy Butler's injury mattered. Jimmy was not a part of that game really for the second half. It's incredibly
I'm not
lucky.
letting him off the hook. I mean, he was going off right after the injury.
No, I think he was hurt, man. He barely touched the ball in the fourth quarter.
Quitter.
No, you disagree. Okay, Quitter. But regardless. So I do feel that way. Encouraging win. I think, obviously they get the Knicks now instead of the Celtics. That's a major deal. But I leave this game, and my main takeaway was how bad Joel played. And credit to him for coming up late. But this is, to your point about maybe this is a thing where he can learn and he can, push through this and look back at this. That was game 6 last year. Or I'm sorry, game 4 last year. Remember game 4, he was bad the whole game. And then PJ Tucker yells at him. And then he has a good final few minutes and he has a great overtime. And then they go out and win game 5. Like, that was supposed to be that moment. And then he was terrible in game 6 and he was terrible in game 7. And then even earlier last year in the Nets series, he comes out, he's all like, he was lucky he didn't get thrown out of the game against the Nets where he kicked that player. He has that look on his face and then they win. But it's like, the bottom line is they are only going as far as Joel can take them. Like, their supporting cast is better. And you saw that tonight. They don't win this game last year because the supporting cast isn't as good, but they are only going as far as Joel and Maxey take them. And I know the Heat are an opponent to be worried about, and they have that mental edge, but the Knicks have that too. And I leave this game not as confident that Joel is going to step up in those moments than I hope to leave this game.
Yeah, and I think that's totally fair because he is one of those guys, and it happens with stars, where they either add to the energy level or they zap the energy level. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of tonight where it was he's just zapping the energy level. And like you sometimes you feed off of how your star player is acting out there. And I just think that they were looking at him like, are you okay? Like, are you
going to
be able to,
bro?
Like what are you doing? So that's the biggest concern from tonight. Like, I know we had the big 3 late, some good moments. I get it. But is that good enough against, like you just said, against a better competition? And plus, like, now I guess we have to factor in how healthy is he? Because I think the whole thing heading into these games were, this is the healthiest Joel's ever been. He doesn't have that freak injury. He's just so spry. I didn't see spry tonight. Well, I saw incredibly tired Joel Embiid.
The most frustrating thing to me was, and you touched on it, when it is at halftime, it's been an atrocious first half. It's disgusting to watch. And they come out and it's, well, you guys, like, Joel's actually not feeling 100%. And then in the third quarter, in the beginning of the fourth, when he looks really tired, Doris Burke and JJ Redick keep going, man, look how tired he is. His hands are on his knees. Like, it's really hard to come back from this injury and play in a high pressure situation. And yes, there's some truth to that, but we saw him in Miami play better than he did tonight a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And then we saw him against Orlando in the game where he suffered the re-injury, if we want to call it that, play better then too. I have seen Joel too many times look like this tonight for me to think that it was injury related. Is he 100%? No. Is he tired? I'm sure that's part of it. That wasn't why he played like that tonight. The reason, in my opinion, he played like that tonight was because in these big situations, he continually can't take it. It's the look on his face. We've all seen it, whether it's sports, whatever. You can tell when somebody is just checked out and they're not feeling it. And that's what Joel looks like in these big moments. And that's what he looked like tonight. It wasn't the injury to me. It wasn't the fatigue to me. It was the moment was really big and it didn't go well initially. And that was it. That was the end of it. And
without his teammates, without his teammates stepping up, they don't win that game. I mean, it's simple as that. Like, he could have his moments down the stretch, like, so sure, but that was only because his teammates around him really stepped up and kind of carried him. I mean, they bailed him out tonight. Because if they lose that game, Joel's getting crushed. I think people are so
the season's over if Joel's getting traded, like, not traded, but that's the discussion if they lose tonight.
Well, it's just I just don't know. There's one of two things: either he really re-injured himself against the Magic, or he doesn't have the dog in him. Because, like,
right, and both are incredibly discouraging.
He hasn't played since Friday. Like, he hasn't played since, again, the Magic game. So it's now Wednesday. They sat him out Sunday because he wanted to be prepared for this game tonight. So, again, either he's hurt, which is also a huge problem, or he's not ready. I can't buy the shape thing. I can't. You're just letting him off the hook. It's as simple as that. Like, you're just letting him off the hook because he was. When he came back from injury, people were like, "Oh my God, he looks just like the pre-injury Embiid, the MVP Embiid." So again, unless he hurt himself again, which is annoying, then you can't let him off the hook. It's as simple as that.
I agree. And so I thought a key moment or a surprising moment in this was I think it was maybe 5 or 6 minutes ago in the fourth quarter, Nick Nurse did a timeout interview and they asked, like, what does Joel have to do to get going? And I thought Nick Nurse was going to say, he's really battling out there, blah, blah, blah. But he was like, Joel needs to be better on defense. Joel needs to make his shots down low. Joel needs to be better, essentially is what he said. And I thought that was surprising. I think if that's Doc Rivers last year, he probably doesn't say that. I don't think Brett says that. Nick ripped into him a little bit. It made me remember something. So when they hired Nick Nurse wrote a book previously about the time he won the championship with the Raptors. And obviously that year, as fans have etched in their brain forever, the Raptors beat the Sixers in that 7-game series where Kawhi hit the shot. And there's a passage in there, and I pulled it back up, where Nick Nurse is talking about Joel Embiid, and he's talking about that series. And he writes, Embiid's a different player if he doesn't get off to a good start. He rides the crowd. For the first 5 minutes until they sub him out, every time he catches it in the post, they double-teamed him, and they didn't want him to get off to a good start. And he says in that playoff series, after they started the strategy of swarming Embiid to begin the game, he shot 18 of 49 overall. So Nick Nurse knows Joel's problem. And that's why I think with those 5 or 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, he was frustrated. He was probably sitting there as a coach, experiencing it as someone that's coaching Joel, not on the sideline with the Raptors saying, nice, this guy's out of it. I would love to hear the footage of what he said to Joel in the huddle, but it would not shock me if he said things like, you got to snap out of it, Joel. You got to get going, because Nick knows it. He's seen it. He's executed it against Joel. So for Joel to play that poorly and then have those big plays, credit to him. And hopefully that is a sign of things to come. But the Sixers' own head coach knows that to beat the Sixers and to get Joel out of it, you just have to get him off to a slow start. And we've seen it over multiple years that's a problem that I think tonight does not solve for me. I'm happy they won. It was an exciting win. Sports are about having fun, and Sixers fans who were there tonight and suffered through that whole thing deserve to leave the stadium happy. But I don't see how you leave this game not feeling like they have the same problem that they've had for years.
Well, the thing that I find so interesting about that whole, toughness and battling through things is that he's always like, I wish we had Jimmy Butler. I wish we had PJ Tucker. Like, he wants someone else to almost be the tough guy. He talks about Pat Bev and like why Pat Bev matters. It's kind of like he's always pushing it on someone else. And the Nick Nurse thing I thought was fascinating because it felt like so he paused before he went into it because I think he could have used almost he could have been even tougher maybe. But the optimistic view is I think Jimmy Butler has such he lives rent free in Joel's head that maybe just by getting past Jimmy Butler and kind of slaying that dragon and Nick Nurse maybe pushing him and saying, you got to go win us this thing, maybe all of this could lead to Joel having a good playoff run here. Because, listen, the Knicks are good. One of us has been on the Knicks all year.
You're right. The Knicks are good.
How good the Knicks are. But they're also a team that he has traditionally dominated. Now, that's old Knicks. It's not great Knicks. But at least it's not like, oh, bleep, there's Jimmy Butler on the other side.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Jalen Brunson's great. I mean, I love Jalen Brunson. I think he's a great Wildcat, But yeah, go Cats.
Yeah, throw the V's up.
But outside of that, they're a well balanced, good basketball team. But it's like it doesn't. I don't think it has the same boogeyman kind of feel that Jimmy Butler has over him.
So I think that's a great point. I do think that if we're going to talk about Joel being mentally checked out, it's important to talk about why he is like that. And I think the Jimmy thing does matter. I was even interested to see their pregame hug, if they were going to joke around. And Embiid just gave him a hug and kept it moving. And I think you're right that the Knicks are a team, and they are a team that Joel will not be afraid of. But, and I hate to be this guy, Madison Square Garden, playoffs, Saturday night, prime time. I'll be curious to see how Joel comes out. And I think the concern against the Knicks, and I'm sure we'll preview them on Friday, so we won't do it fully now. But my concern with tonight that specifically applies to the Knicks is I think the Knicks are similar to the Heat in the way that they want to grind it out. I mean, the Sixers didn't score 100 points against the Heat all year in the 4 games. Now, Joel missed some of them, but in the 4 times they played the Knicks, they ground it. It was a grinded out game. It was tough.
Well, I mean, hold on. One of those games set basketball back 100 years.
That's what the Knicks do, and that's my concern. Early on in this game,
Embiid and Maxey didn't play in that game.
No, I agree with that, but I'm saying the way the Knicks play basketball is very similar to how the Heat want to play basketball. Sure. They want to grind it down, and again, based off tonight, the thing that I cannot get over with the Sixers is they seem like a team to me that if you hit them in the mouth, they don't take it well. And I think the Heat are a prime throw a punch early, punch you in the mouth, and get it going. The Knicks, I haven't watched enough of them, but the vibe I get from them is that it's a very similar thing. That the Knicks want to hit you. They want to play ugly. They don't want to win the game 125 to 120. They want to win it 101 to 98. And what we saw tonight is the Sixers don't handle that well. Not only did Nic Batum save them, he played uncharacteristically well. It wasn't like Oubre had 25 points and you can go, well, he's done that throughout the year. Or Toby had 20 points and you go, well, this is, a best version. Batum might not make 6 3-pointers, the whole series. And I'm kidding.
Come on, man. Come on, man. He's been chilling the last half of the season. He's been chilling.
Yeah, maybe. But that's why I think tonight to me was discouraging, because the exact style the Knicks want to play is the exact style the Heat played, and the Sixers were lucky to escape that. They were lucky to escape it with a win.
Here's my big difference, and here's where I disagree with you. We're talking about Tom Thibodeau versus Eric Spoelstra. Thibodeau hasn't won squat. I mean, I know he's the defensive architect of the 08 Celtics, but I mean, Thibodeau has also kind of blown these games, or he's had good teams before and hasn't been able to get much done. So Spoelstra was clearly ready for that game. The zone completely torched the Sixers in the first half until I guess they made adjustments and figured it out from that point. But the big difference here, and why I don't really fear the Knicks, I guess the same way you do, and I know they're tough and I get it, and they have college winners. They have college winners.
They are a team of winners, yes.
Yeah, they have college winners, and I appreciate it. They haven't been in this moment in the NBA. I don't think Jalen Brunson's going to be afraid of the moment. I think he'll be fine. I think Josh Hart is kind of built for this too. They have guys that are winners, and I do believe that. But I also know that this is the best the Knicks fans have felt about their team in forever. The Knicks fans are kind of like other scorned franchises. You tell me if the Sixers go steal game 1 that Knicks fans don't get tight. The Knicks fans
I already have some of my friends that are Knicks fans texting me confident, they're definitely going to win the series. When it was in the second quarter, they were talking.
Dumb, very dumb. Yeah. Don't get ahead of yourselves. So
let me ask you this, because I was thinking about this in the first half before they came back and won the game. I mean, Nick Nurse obviously got outcoached in that game, right?
Well, yeah. So at least in the first half, but yeah.
I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent. Tell me if you think this is correct or not. It reminded me a lot of the Eagles coaches, because I see everything through an Eagles lens, of the Eagles coaches versus the players, where we agree Nick Nurse is a good head coach. We agree, and Danny Green told us on the pod where he was on with us, that Nick Nurse is an advantage on the sideline. He is a weapon on the sideline. I think what we saw tonight is it just doesn't matter. Spoelstra is a great head coach. Spoelstra is arguably the best coach in the NBA. They didn't win tonight. Why? Because their players weren't good enough at the end. They didn't make shots. Tyler Hero single-handedly kept the Sixers in this game by missing so many shots.
Stinks.
And on the opposite end, once they went to that zone, and I guess credit to Spoelstra for going for it, but it's a lot like the Eagles picking up a blitz. I know the Eagles coaching staff knows how to scheme up a blitz. They can do that. I know Nick Nurse knows how to beat a zone. I know. I know Nick Nurse knows how to beat his own. I don't think the Sixers players did a good enough job. So while I agree that Tom Thibodeau is not Eric Spoelstra, and I think that the Sixers have the better head coach in the series, I don't know if they have the players to step up to the moment. And your point is correct about the Knicks not having a ton of playoff experience, but they did win a first-round series last year. I mean, they've been to the second round. I really, 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 really wish I would have left the game tonight coming on here and saying, they beat the Heat. This is why they're different. Look what Joel did. Look what Maxey did. Look how deep the roster is. This is why you have Nick Nurse. And of those 4 things, the only thing I think happened was the role players were good. And it's great. They won. And maybe maybe they were able to survive a Joel and a bad Maxey game because of that. Moving forward, I'll be curious to see. I wanted to ask you, though, about Maxey. We talked a lot about Joel and everything else. What did you think of Maxey tonight?
Just looked like a guy out there.
Yep, 100%.
I mean, just looked like a guy. And that's not what I really wanted to see from a guy who I think, like, I guess Maury was on with the Rights of Ricky Sanchez guys yesterday. As we are now the Rights of Ricky Council, which which we would like to see him out there tonight. Maybe they would have won by more. But he did this whole thing about how, now it's about figuring out who 3 through 10 are because they have 1 and 2. And it was a pretty big jump from where Maury was at the beginning of the season, which was not sure if Maxey could be the second best player on the title team. And I didn't leave tonight feeling any better about him being the second best player on the title team. We've been talking a lot about, at least at the beginning of the year when the vibes were different, that this is the best 3 through 10 they've had in a long time. And I think tonight that pretty much bore out that we do have the best bench unit that they've had in a long, long time of some winning basketball players mixed in there. Glad Daryl Morey could find some. Proud of him.
As you've always said.
As I've always said. The Oubre one is the one that I'm still flummoxed by. Just absolutely.
He was okay tonight. I mean, but to your point, Oubre wasn't afraid. Oubre was not afraid.
I love the N1. The N1.
Great pass by Embiid. But yeah.
I know. I was proud of him. So I wish again, like you just said, I wish I left tonight feeling better about Maxey, the second best player. Now I'm sure that obviously Spoelstra had something ready for him. And I don't think it's an indictment on his entire playoff run that's about to happen or whatever playoff run they have coming to them. But it was not the strongest start to the Tyrese Maxey, here's our Robin to our Batman, and he's another superstar campaign.
So my concern, and you've brought this up a bunch on the pod, is Maxey is a player, I guess to use a football term, you can scheme out of the game because of his height. And early on to me, it looked like Spoelstra had a plan to take Maxey out of it, and Maxey was a non-factor in this game early on. Later on, he made some layups. He got to the basket a few times, but ultimately, while this thing was falling apart, they needed Maxey to be their spark, and he couldn't do it. The spark was Batum. Nicholas Batum. I'm never gonna just pronounce his name easily. It's never gonna happen for me. But
the Batum game.
Yeah, the Batum game. That's what we should call it. The pod. But again, much like Embiid, a lot of the criticism that I've said of Embiid, I think can apply to Maxey as well. Maxey looked lost early on. He looked like he was very willing just to sit there, pass the ball back and forth with him and Buddy. Nobody wanted to shoot it. He didn't look ready for the moment. I think Maxey should also feel very lucky that they won this game. And to circle back to the Nick Nurse thing about his adjustments, I'm not sure if he made adjustments or if Batum just started making all of his threes. I mean, if Batum doesn't go on an insane heater, they don't win the game. And I don't really know if that's coaching. As some say, it's a make or miss league. So,
or bricking for chicken. You seem to not be acknowledging bricking for chicken enough for me, and that makes me sad.
Yes. But when again with Maxey, I really, really wanted to feel better about him coming out of this game. I wanted him to go against the Heat, the big bad Heat, Jimmy Butler. And he did outplay Tyler Hero probably still. I mean, Hero was awful, but Maxey, But again, with Maxey, I wanted to feel better. And tonight, I didn't feel good about his performance. It felt like he somehow still wears the stink of the playoff losses Joel has. And if we agree Joel is
do
going
that for
to
me. Not for me.
What?
For me, I'm not at the point where I'm using the last couple of years against Maxey.
I'm not using it against Maxey, but he came up just as small as Joel did tonight.
Yeah, sure. I'm just I'm more heading into this postseason with open arms or open eyes with Tyrese Maxey, where it's like, okay, can he do it? Rather than he's let us down in the past. Like it's a different version of Tyrese Maxey.
I agree with that, but I'm saying tonight the look on Maxey's face was similar to the look on Joel's face.
Now, at the same time, he did do a pretty good job defensively on Jimmy Butler. I mean,
Butler got hurt. I'm sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Butler hurt his knee and was a non-factor. If he doesn't hurt his knee, they don't win this game.
I had to lock in. This is just inside the show. I had to lock in when the Phils game became 7-6.
Yeah,
because I was
yeah.
like, it was a joyous affair. Schwarber had 2 home runs, Turner had a dinger.
Yeah.
It was like,
They won
okay,
5-5-9-2.
this is a laugher. Don't really have to pay attention to it. I can recap the game. Christopher Sanchez is a stud. And then it became 7-6, and I was like, oh, bleep. So when I was watching Jimmy Butler, they kept showing the knee injury, and then he looked fine. And then I guess in the fourth quarter, he was like limping around out there. So I guess that could be the other.
I'm gonna look it up now. I'm gonna look up his fourth quarter stats now. He was not on the court for the final play of the game, so that's pretty telling.
That seems like a bad thing. Okay, so I'll give him a pass. That's a Donovan chest pat on me. So
right. No need to Donovan chest pat.
Yeah, well, so they didn't have Duncan Robinson tonight. Jimmy Butler was hurt, and Terry Rozier didn't play.
Other than that, all right. So in the fourth quarter, Jimmy Butler took 2 shots and had 2 points. In the fourth quarter, so that was the fourth quarter. In the third quarter, Jimmy Butler had 7 points, so he was a little more effective there. But in the whole second half, he had 9 points. Like he was not the Jimmy Butler that we're used to seeing. And I think what was most telling, sorry if I messed something up for a second. What was most telling was that it was Tyler Hero they kept going to again and again and again late. It wasn't Jimmy Butler. Like it was Tyler Hero. So clearly Jimmy was banged up. Now again, doesn't matter. The Sixers have advanced, and you said you're going into the playoffs with open eyes. The playoffs began tonight. Like this was a playoff game. Well, sure. It felt like a game 7. And but I think the Jimmy injury, they caught some luck with that.
Dude, Tyler Hero, 9 of 27.
He was unbelievably bad. Missed so many threes. Also, it was so funny at the end of the game. They're down 4. There's like 7 seconds to go. And he's just sitting there wide open for 3, sizing it up. He takes like 2 or 3 seconds to shoot the ball. It's like, bro, what are you doing? Shoot the ball. Like the game is ending. So he was not good.
By the way, I mean, speaking of players that came up small, I loathe the Bam Adebayo discussion about.
Yeah, I'm not a big Bam guy.
Dude, enough. He's a pretty good player. Don't try to put him in the class of some of the best centers in basketball. Like I agree. He doesn't belong in that conversation.
I don't even think he's a top 25 player. I just don't think he is that good.
How about some of the Lowry stuff late? Just like part of the reason why we wanted him on the court was what he brings, just heads up basketball wise, like him getting that inbound pass, getting it to Oubre, and Oubre like that's just he was clearly motivated, like going against the Heat. But he had so many like little things that stuck out to me, and I think that's been the cool part about watching Kyle Lowry is like watching an older player. Like I don't know how you feel about this. I feel like this doesn't resonate with you. When I bring up to Seltzer, he starts like almost weeping, thinking about how like emotional it makes him. Yeah. But there's something about an older player having like a throwback moment, or like an older player just watching how they operate out there. If you're 38 still making NBA plays, like you have to know how to play the game. And like there was a play tonight where he stole the ball and like just made the heads up play of getting in front of the defender and letting it just go out to Maxey and he can just lay it in. I don't know if a 24-year-old player understands ball play like
this
that.
Feels like such like a baseball thing of an old guy picking his glove up and heading out there like, one more time I'm gonna take the mound. But
so where I realized my love of older players having moments is the 2006 ALCS when Kenny Rogers at like 40 years old was shoving, and I was like, this is perfect. Yeah. This is what sport. Hey, this is what sports are all about. But it's just like Lowry, he does add again. The last couple of years when they've closed out a basketball game, I just had no faith in anyone out there. Whether it was Harden, whether it was Maxey, whether it was Embiid, whether it was Toby, I didn't trust those guys. At least with this team, I like when Lowry's out there. Do I need him shooting all the time? No, but he doesn't do that. He plays smart basketball. Batum, is he going to score 20 points every time? No, but he's going to play winning basketball. That's what he's going to do. That's what Nicholas Batum is here to do. And again, like he's fearless. I know he's on the minimum. He might be playing his way in the $25 million contract a year, but Kelly Oubre, at least he's not afraid. At least he's not afraid. They've been so afraid. Like the fact that and now I'm starting to get excited again.
Dude, I can see it and I can feel it. You're starting to talk yourself into this.
The fact that they stole that game from the Heat in a classic drag it out, Heat kind of game, I think that matters. I think it matters.
We shall find out. But I mean, to the Lowry thing, there was that play early in the game where he makes a three, and then he sprints all the way down the court, across the court to get to, I think it was Jimmy Butler. I actually think it was the play that got Jimmy Butler injured. He gets there, he closes out on Jimmy, he then has to pump fake and drive to the basket. It was such a moment where Joel's plodding up and down the court. I don't even know if Maxi's in the game. Tobias is missing all his layups. To watch Lowry at his age do that, I thought, again, the Sixers are the 7 seed tonight because their role players weren't afraid. And Lowry led that charge early on. I agree with you. I think going against the Heat, he was extra motivated to do the old man emotional thing. I'm sure playing a playoff game in his hometown was a cool experience for him.
Yeah.
But early on, those plays he did kept them going for sure.
Is there pressure on the Sixers heading into the next series?
Yes. So my initial reaction
is not house money. Is it a house money series?
No, because here's the thing. You saw tonight, people still really hate the Sixers.
Yeah, but it's different when it's the Heat. Like it's the Heat.
So apparently the
home.
Sixers open as favorites against the Knicks, which is surprising.
Like in a series?
I think for the series of the game, I wouldn't surprise me if it was a series. Well,
it has to be a series bet.
WIP tweeted it, so it's got to be true. We
would never mislead the public.
I'll look it up right now. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if they opened. Sorry, say it again.
What do you think about Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator?
Yeah, that's good. The series, the Sixers are favorites.
Wow,
that's surprising.
That's awesome. Good. Frick the Knicks, man. We took Spike. It's like the perfect.
So are you picking the? We'll make a prediction now that we don't have to stick with. But what's your initial prediction for the series?
Knicks in 6. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm picking the Knicks. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What is Sixers
Prove me
podcast?
wrong, Sixers. Prove me wrong. I've bet on you every year, and I've never right. So maybe what you need is for me to bet against you each time. But
dude, I really think it's house money though. Like,
no, it's not house money.
It's house money.
It is not house money.
They are. The Knicks are the 2 seed. The Sixers are the 7 seed.
Well, it would be a great win for sure. But if you're telling me if they lose this series in 5 or 6, people are going to be like, wow, what a fight they put up against the Knicks. No one's going to say
obviously, Eliot, if they get freaking swept, no one's going to, but they're not going to get swept.
All right, but I'm saying if they lose the series, nobody is going to sit here and go, what a great run by the Sixers. That's what house money is to me. House money is the Giants playing the Eagles 2 years ago when they beat the Vikings. It didn't really matter. Their season was already a success. The Sixers season is not a success until they make it out of the second.
Look at you. Finally admitting that they have to.
I've always held the Sixers accountable. I don't know what you want me to say. I've just been honest about them.
Yeah, I'm definitely more in the house money camp. Like that win tonight mattered.
Oh, well, I can tell you were Mr. Their past should be wiped away. We see how that went tonight. Now it's house money. It's
I started something on the afternoon show. We haven't debuted it yet, but I thoroughly look forward to it. It's called the Take Vault, where you put a take in, you give your take, and you have to decide, like, is that going in the Take Vault? Like, you got to stick with it. And if you want to take your take out, like, it has to be voted on by the entire show. And Giglio is the arbitrator to where if he breaks the tie. I was looking to get out of the Take Vault with the this is a clean slate when they were losing in the first half.
I'm sure you were.
Could not.
So why is Eliot the arbitrator and not me?
Well, because it was the first name I thought of, and I thought that since he was there during the day, but in looking at it in retrospect, given that you are on every Tuesday, probably would have made more sense if you were there.
I think I should be the breaking tie here.
Okay, well, maybe we'll.
But regardless, I could feel from you via text that you were not too in on the past doesn't matter anymore when it was the ugliest 45 minutes of basketball ever until they won at the end.
Yeah. So, but I am currently. I'm not ready to put it in the Take Vault yet because things can change.
Right.
It is currently a house money series.
House money. All right. Well, I look forward to see what you say on a Friday before the series begins.
Who
on the Fritz Ike and Spike show?
Yes, Fritz and Friends.
Fritz and Friends.
Who's guarding Jalen Brunson?
I mean, Batum.
Oh,
right?
sweet. So 36-year-old Nicholas Batum versus Jalen Brunson.
Well, what Nick Nurse has to ask himself is, can he put his best offensive player on Brunson?
More important. More important. You want to talk about accountability and letting people
Yeah.
off the hook? Maxey's defense matters more this series than Maxey's offense. Like, I need him on Jalen.
Well, yeah,
Brunson.
Batum's gonna. So here's all right. This is a good question for you. So I tweeted earlier in the year, and Knicks fans ran with this tweet, and they made it viral, and like there were whatever. I tweeted the Sixers don't have to worry about the Knicks in the playoffs. Is that tweet more likely to age well, or is this going to be a tweet where after Game 5, everyone's quote tweeting me like, "This guy knows ball. What about Noah Vonleh?" Does this tweet help or hurt the Sixers' chances of winning?
Completely hurts.
Like, right? I can't imagine it goes well. I never get to take victory laps on Twitter.
It's not going to end well for you. It's really
that's it, right?
Like,
that's it. That's got to be it. Yeah.
It's just there's no way that that's going to end well for you. But
so it's unfortunate.
I can't wait for Sixers Knicks, man, because have they ever played in the postseason? Not in
my lifetime. Iverson never played them. The Sixers didn't really exist before Iverson, so no.
Maybe the teams in the 80s played them. I had no idea.
Did the Knicks even exist when Wilt was in the league? I mean, they must have, right?
No, the Knicks won the title in '72. Is that the Wells Reed game?
Look at you.
I believe.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever played the Sixers Knicks in the playoffs. Let me try to look it up.
Which makes it great. Well, my whole thing with the Willis Reed game is it's the most fugazi, stupid thing that's ever happened. I mean,
I like it.
Walt Frazier scored 41 that night, and they're bringing up Willis Reed scoring like 5 points because he had a broken leg.
The Sixers haven't played the Knicks in the playoffs since 1989, and since 1980 they've played twice.
So who the hell was even on the 19? Was Barkley still here on the 1989 Sixers?
Well, they won 3. They won that round 3, and it was a first round series. They won.
You know who the coach of that Sixers team was?
1989.
Yeah.
I don't know who.
Jim Lynam,
the coach.
Yeah. So it was Charles Barkley, Scotty Brooks, former Thunder goat. Nice. Johnny Dawkins, former Dookie, Mike Jaminski, former Dookie, Hersey Hawkins, who people talk about a lot, as I'm,
Yes, people bring up Hersey Hawkins quite a bit.
I thought he was on the '67 team. I thought there's no way that guy played in the '90s. Hersey Hawkins.
This is not my wheelhouse.
Rick Mahorn. Wow, dude, this is like a low key tough basketball team.
This was a squad.
Dude, Kenny Payne, who's got fired from Louisville, he was on that team.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some
dude,
guy
Rick
named
Mahorn,
Jay
Hersey Hawkins. Dude, this
was Batum on this team? I feel like he's old enough to have been on this team.
Dude, their assistant coach's name was Buzz Brayman. What an
old basketball name.
Wait, hold on. So the owner of the Eagles at that point, I believe, was still Norman Brayman, and they had Buzz Brayman on the assistant on the
WIP
must have
been popping then.
Well, WIP technically did not exist at that point. So Barkley averaged 25 a game that year. I don't know why I'm continuing to obsess over the '89 Sixers, but
yeah, you're really into this, yeah.
Well, I'm trying to prove to people I do know basketball.
You know ball, yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly right. I wonder should I look up the '89 Knicks?
I think this is bad podcasting at this point. As exciting as this is, it is 11 o'clock at night. I don't know if quietly talking about the Knicks 1989 roster is getting people worked up right now.
Hold on, man. Hold on.
Okay, let's hear it. Go ahead.
Dude, Mo Cheeks is on that Knicks team?
Mo Cheeks was on the Knicks?
Yeah, he's 11th year in the league. Yeah.
Wow. You could really tell me anything.
Ewing was in year 4. And Mark Jackson was on that team. All right, I promise. That's it. That's all I got. I'm not going to do any more Knicks talk. I promise. Okay.
But I can't wait over the next few days.
Well, I just can't wait. I think it's going to be so fun. We haven't had a good Eagles Giants doesn't count anymore. I don't care.
No, yeah.
They dominate the Giants. Phillies Mets. The Mets are down right now. 07-11 was great. Probably the most fun I've had outside of beating the Braves in the last 2 postseasons. That's been amazing.
Biggest rival in the city.
Yeah, just one person said that, and there just hasn't been that. There hasn't been. Good, Sixers Nets doesn't matter.
No, to go full circle, it's supposed to be fun. and Sixers Knicks Madison Square Garden on a Saturday night.
Oh, the MSG.
It's gonna be dope. Like the lights at the. It's very. I'm very excited.
I don't think Embiid's gonna be afraid of that. I really don't. Like I think,
dude, if Embiid's not good in game one, they are cooked. Biggest game of Embiid's career.
Tonight was the biggest game of
tonight. Well, they only get bigger. That's the good thing about the pick.
Are you gonna bring that back? I mean, that used to be the staple of your Wentz stuff.
Yeah, I want to hold it for something good. I'm not there yet, but I'll hold it. Don't worry. Jalen's going to get one this year. I can feel it already.
Yeah. Oh, man. Inspiring stuff at his press conference today.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
All right. So do you have any other big thoughts from the game real quick?
I don't. No.
So the only reason why I was kind of rooting for a loss is...
Enter the trust tree here.
I just wanted to see what's going to happen with the Bad Bunny concert.
I know. Yeah. But he's a happy bunny tonight. A lot of happy bunnies out there ready for their show on Friday.
So many happy bunnies.
It is funny to picture Bad Bunny watching the game being like, well, I could have off Friday, but like...
So we had the president of Live Nation call on today, and he was like, I'm really rooting for the Sixers tonight. Like
the president of Live Nation called in?
Yeah.
To your show?
Yeah.
That's like, I'm really rooting. That's
like
fun.
I do not want to deal with having to move. But we were 2 shows away because I keep thinking today's Thursday, even though it's Wednesday.
Right.
On Friday, I wanted to do who's your go-to bunny.
That's really good.
Just to see what the answers would have been.
The morning show side topic.
Exactly.
Who's your go-to bunny? That's a big time bunny.
Is it Peter Rabbit?
Yeah, that's a Mount Rushmore bunny.
Ooh, Joe, no, you didn't take that one. Joe, no, you did it again. You did it again.
You named the biggest bunny.
You took one. All right, man.
Buddy.
I'm tired. It's been a lot of talking today, but I think
you tired? You want to wrap this one up?
Short one.
Yeah.
I gotta be up at 3:30. No, but I'm just kidding. But so if you were doing like a 10,000 foot view of this podcast tonight, more positive or negative?
To be completely honest, based off texting with you during the game, how I felt during the game in the beginning of the pod, I did not expect to end it feeling as positive as I do. But I think around the 35-minute mark, whether we're just both delirious, I think I turned. I think you're right. Like they stole a game, and that's impressive. So
who cares if Butler was hurt? Who cares if there was no Terry Rozier, no Duncan Robinson? They slayed the dragon. The Heat culture is dead.
Yes. The Sixers Batum killed Heat culture. That's the name of the pod.
That sounds like the title of the podcast. Well, it's been a joyous affair. We're back Friday, leading into the game. Well, not leading into the game at all. We'll do it in the morning, and we have a full breakdown of the Knicks.
Can't wait to dive into the X's and O's.
By the way, the most important player in the series is not Jalen Brunson. It is Bogdanovich, who shoots like 90% from 3 against the Sixers.
Yep.
So that's the real issue about Friday. So regardless, for Eliot, Shorr-Parks, and Jack Fritz, this has been another edition of Clap Your Hands.